Welcome, everybody. John Arvosis here. Hello. Adjust my microphone. I have it on high for the other thing we do. How's everybody doing? Sorry, I just had a snack. Excuse me. I'm going to be like burping at you, which would be kind of rude. How's everybody doing tonight? Cue the Russians, cue everybody else. Woo, John Arvosis here to talk about Ukraine. As always, actually, not a lot of news tonight. Good news, though. Very good news, actually. Major, I would say, counteroffensive news from the Ukrainians, but not a ton, but enough. So, greetings, everybody. Echo. There shouldn't be an echo. Echo. You're getting an echo? Let me just make sure. But if this is the mic selected, my mic is selected. Yeah. Shouldn't be echoing. Yeah. No. Not with this mic. You better not be getting an echo. It's my good mic. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I'm reading the comments as I'm sitting here. Everybody's saying hello from all your different places. Oh, and Carol Syndicate had said he reached out to you on TikTok and sent you a message there and said, come over and chat via YouTube or something like that. So you can get back to him. He'd prefer to do that than email. He's not an email guy. What else, guys? Yeah, no, we started early tonight. My friend Marion is in town. So Marion, who's the Russia export extraordinaire, who may or may not be joining us here right now. I don't know. She has meetings, but she and I are going to grab dinner afterwards. So I wanted to end a little early. So I'm just I don't sleep well anyway, but I'm very tired after doing these broadcasts, which is, normal. But I'm just whoa. So it's nice to anyways. All right, guys, I'm about to start here. Croatian Swede, how are you? Good to see you. All right, guys, I'm about to start. So depending how timing goes, I think we can go a little bit. When we're done at 7, I've been trying to do, or 6 o'clock. I've been trying to do these an hour now just to save my voice. At 6 o'clock, we will move over to my Discord and hang out for a little bit in the John After Hours or whatever the heck I call it on Discord. But there's now I got to open it up to make sure I get it right. But under the what's the section called? I'm still learning Discord here. I'm going to pull it up and tell you guys. But we'll move over there in an hour at 6 p.m. Eastern, I should say, my time. Discord. Here we go. It is called, yes, it is under the voice channels, John's After Show. So after the show, we'll go there. We just sort of hang out and shoot the bull. So join us there. But let me jump right in with the news. And my Discord is discord.aravosis.com. So go there afterwards. And let's jump right in. So this was very interesting. Reported events tonight in Ukraine. These are the various events happening tonight that were recorded. Listen to this. Explosions at a munitions depot outside of Belgorod, Russia. I'll show you on the map in a second where that is. Fire and explosions at an airfield in Belgorod, Russia. Explosions in Novakhovka, Kherson, which is occupied Ukraine, southern Ukraine, where we pretty much expect the counteroffensive to really take place first. Explosions near the Belbek airport in Crimea, south of there, and air defense activity near the Kerch Strait, Crimea. Excuse me. Air defense activity, which means possibly a threat to the Kerch Bridge. These are all the Ukrainians going after the Russians. Now, just to give you a sense of what the Ukrainians are up to, okay? Belgorod, first of all, here's the Ukrainian town of Kharkiv. Second largest city in Ukraine, 1.5 million. They are quite literally maybe, excuse me, I just said yogurt, which only makes my voice worse, but it's so good. Kharkiv is literally like 10 miles from the Russian border. All of this here, the blue, is Russia, okay? So you go 10 miles to the border. 10 more miles is the Russian town of Belgorod, which is a major center for resupplying the Russian troops in all of the invasion, really. Some of it's coming through Crimea in the south. A lot of it's coming from Belgorod, which is right here. Well, the Ukrainians, pretty clear it's the Ukrainians, blew up an ammunitions depot there in Belgorod. and blew up an airfield. Now, why did they do it? Interesting question, because there were, well, this is kind of interesting. I'm not sure. This is sort of a chicken and egg thing. There were reports tonight that the Russians fired a lot of missiles at Ukraine from Belgorod. Now, the Ukrainians typically, I would think, plan these things in advance. So I doubt the Ukrainians just decided to go after Belgorod within hours because the Russians did, right? Because the Russians used Belgorod to attack them. But nonetheless, that's what's going on tonight. Very interesting. The explosion at Novakhovka here in Kherson. Novakhovka is just over here, more or less where my finger is. Now, all of this is Russian-occupied area. It's the northernmost area of the Russian-occupied territory in this part of Ukraine, okay? All of this is Russian-occupied. You go up here, you go here. I always like to show you guys. Follows the river more or less to Zaporizhia, cuts over here, then kind of comes up more or less, and then goes north of Kharkiv, okay? So here, you've got a portion of the Russian occupiers that are north of the Dnipro River, and this is the portion that the Ukrainians most likely are going to try to cut off in the counteroffensive. They're going to try to, I've got to ban somebody. God, it drives me nuts these guys do this. The crazies try to like join us to go live with them, and I don't know like whoever does that. But in any case, so the Ukrainians have been trying to cut off the bridge. These guys are north. Novakhovka, part of that ongoing attack to weaken the Russian troops in northern Kherson. The explosions near the Belbek airport, there's some good video of that. I may have grabbed it on my phone. I'll show you in a second. That airport is down here near Sevastopol. So once again, you've got the Ukrainians apparently hitting an airport in southern Crimea. Now, Sevastopol is right here. Guess where the other airports were that they hit? Simferopol right here, and the one a week ago, it was called Nova Fedorivka, something like that. It was right here just north of Sevastopol. So you've got three airports, boom, 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 more or less in the same region here of Crimea. Very interesting. The final thing, there was Russian air defense activity near the Kerch Strait. The Kerch Strait is this little, I've got to Google my geography. I think, would you call this an isthmus? It's kind of like the Panama Canal. I think it's an isthmus, except that it is separated by water. So there's a bridge that goes from Kerch, the town in Ukraine, across to the Russian side, to the Russian town. It's called the Kerch Bridge. Well, in that area, there was a lot of Russian air defense activity tonight, suggesting that the Russians perceived a threat to this bridge, right? Now, this could have been the Ukrainians flying unmanned vehicles like drones to, first of all, check out the area. But second of all, one of the military experts was surmising on TikTok that overall, it could have been the Ukrainians flying a drone in this area to light up the Russian air defenses so they could see what air defenses the Russians had and where they were to possibly attack them before they attack the bridge. Really, I mean, this is really interesting. And actually, for me, thank you, Nancy, for those. For me, this goes to the question, the statement that General Hertling made a couple of days ago that I told you guys about. American general, he was in charge of the U.S. Army in Europe. And Hertling said, he's retired now, that he thinks the Ukrainian counteroffensive has already started. He thinks that all of these attacks we're seeing are basically, I forget. Thank you, Eli, or Ellie. I keep mixing up your name. I forget if he called these attacks shaping or not. I always forget whether this is shaping, but the idea is these are all attacks being made to make the larger counteroffensive work better when it happens. In other words, when the troops come rushing in, you want to first blow up all the ammunition so the Russians don't have as much ammunition, right? You blow up the airports so they don't have air support. You blow up the bridges so they can't get resupplies, right? You blow up the bridges so they also can't escape and go back. Thank you, Taylor. So it's the counteroffensive has begun, but it's the first phase where the Ukrainians are still blowing. So it would be shaping in this case. I always wondered what shaping was. So this is shaping the battlefield. Thank you guys on TikTok for saying, Danny and Selim for saying that. Actually, all of you, Dave, you're all weighing in now. So this is what shaping is. And it's basically preparing the battlefield for the big battle. It's important because they're blowing up ammunition, but it's setting the stage so that when they really move in and have their troops coming in the numbers of the thousands, they've already warmed things up and weakened the Russians in advance. So that's why Hertling is saying he considers this as being the counteroffensive already begun. Ukraine's, what do we got here? Oh, yeah. So additionally, Ukrainian forces destroyed a Russian ammunition depot in southern Ukraine. The Operational Command South reported that Ukrainian forces killed 29 Russian troops and destroyed self-propelled heavy artillery and 5 armored and military vehicles. Russia has been strengthening its forces in southern Ukraine. Now, mind you, when we say southern Ukraine, we mean throughout here. So we mean Kherson, the town, and the oblast, the region here. We mean Zaporizhia, the town, and the Zaporizhia Oblast, the region here. That this is the area the Russians seem to think the Ukrainians are going to really come through with their counteroffensive. So the Russians have been bringing more troops and weapons from here, and they've been bringing more troops and weapons from this battle area here. And there's more evidence that they've been strengthening their forces even more. I'm doing water today since I tried my tea earlier to see if by chance my tea would kick in or something and make my voice a little better now, but now we'll do the water too. Zelensky weighed in today about negotiations with the Kremlin and said negotiations with Moscow would be possible only if Russian troops leave Ukraine. He made the statement after a meeting with Turkish President Erdogan. Now, I think two things are going on. One, he's taking a maximist view as a negotiating point, even for the negotiations, right? But also, and I've talked about this before, Zelensky has nothing to lose, so to speak, by dragging this out. Now, of course, he's got his troops' lives. He's got the civilian lives the Russians are killing. I mean, there are things to lose, of course, as the war goes on. But what I mean is, if you consider those acceptable losses for a just war and a just counteroffensive, meaning a counteroffensive that you think you might actually win, you might actually get land back, then you're willing to take those losses, right? Troops losses and some civilian casualties. Keeping that in mind, then, it makes sense for Zelensky to say, I'm not going to negotiate yet. What's the point, right? Because he thinks in this counteroffensive, he can get a lot of land back. And at this point, again, other than the fact that, yes, there are troop casualties and civilian casualties, I don't see the downside of dragging this out, since he does have a plan. It's not just a stalemate, you know? He's got a plan for what comes next. The Ukrainian charity, this was kind of wild. A Ukrainian charity purchased a satellite for Ukraine, which I thought was kind of cool. We just bought a bunch of cookies for Ukrainian kids, and these guys are buying satellites. Listen to this. Sergei Pritula, a Ukrainian comedian, politician, and volunteer, announced on August 18th that his charity bought a satellite for the Ukrainian armed forces. The charity used the $20 million that Ukrainians had fundraised for purchasing 4 Bayraktar drones in June. Back then, the Turkish manufacturer of the Bayraktar refused to take the money, offering 3 drones for free instead. So in other words, they had the 20 million they raised for the Bayraktars. The Bayraktar plant said, we're not taking your money. Here they are for free. So they had 20 million to spend elsewhere, right? They decided to spend, but I love this. They decided to spend it on a spy satellite. Like, what a crazy world we're in. So the charity signed a deal with Finnish microsatellite manufacturer ICEYE, which will provide Ukraine with access to its constellation of SAR satellites, allowing the Ukrainian armed forces to receive radar satellite imagery on critical locations with a high revisit frequency. I just think it's crazy. Also, I mean, what's crazy too is we're literally crowdfunding weapons of war. You know, in this case, it's a satellite, same concept, but we're crowdfunding satellites so that you as a private citizen anywhere in the world, you can help with your, $5 donation. You can help Ukraine buy a spy satellite. That's just, it blows my mind. I mean, you can consider it kind of weird. I also consider it just incredibly mind-blowing in what the web has done, what the internet has done to just change the connectivity of the world. Amazing. Again, crowdfunding a war. Amazing. So, oh boy. So this is a topic folks have been asking a lot today. So I dug in on this, a couple different articles. Russia playing a lot of games with the Zaporizhia nuclear plant. Thank you, Louis, for that. So the Zaporizhia plant, we call it Zaporizhia. It's in the Zaporizhia region. It's not in the town of Zaporizhia. The town of Zaporizhia is right here. The town itself is still free. It is still free of the Russians. South of Zaporizhia is the line that the Russians occupy. You go over here, more or less along the river, and you've got the Zaporizhia nuclear plant, okay? It's right around here. The Russians occupy the plant. It's still Ukrainian workers working at the plant, but the Russians occupy it. They've been terrorizing the employees. Lots of articles talking about what the employees have been going through. Thank you, Louis, for the hat and mustache. And listen to this. So Reuters today says, Russia said on Thursday there was, oh God, I mean, okay, no, let me step back. Let me step back before I give you the news on this. So Russia is trying to freak Europe out. They are trying to freak Europe out that this nuclear plant, which is the largest nuclear plant in Europe, okay, it provides, I think, 20% of Ukraine's energy. They are trying to freak the Europeans out that this plant is going to blow up. It's going to cause Chernobyl. It's going to cause radioactive fallout to travel all over Europe, all over, mind you, right? It's in southern Ukraine down here. It could blow. It's going to have to blow over Russia too, but it could blow over Turkey. It could blow over Hungary, Slovakia, all of them, Romania. I mean, they're all here, right? I mean, Poland's over here, but these guys are here. The Russians are, it's a terrorist move. It's a terrorist move. They're trying to convince the Europeans this plant could blow up any day, which is also why they keep shooting at the plant, because they may literally be even trying to blow it up themselves, but at the very least, they want the Europeans to think this plant is going to blow up any moment. And if you're Macron, if you're Scholz in Germany, and frankly, even Biden in the US, who have shown fear of the conflict escalating, so to speak, Putin wants to put pressure on them to say, okay, it's just not worth it. We've got to stop this war. If we're talking about nuclear plants and a meltdown and then we just have to stop the war, and we've got to put pressure on Ukraine just to accept whatever they can, right? So take that in mind when we start talking now about the latest news, okay? Russia said today that there was a risk of a man-made disaster at Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear power plant and accused Kyiv and the West. So accused the Ukrainians and the West of planning a provocation. And then they went on to call it a terrorist attack. They're on Friday. Oh, this is on Friday, tomorrow, during a visit to Ukraine by UN Secretary General Guterres. So the Russians are accusing us of planning to blow up the plant tomorrow, which of course means the Russians are potentially planning on blowing up the plant tomorrow, because that's what that means. They've so freaked out the employees of the plant that a number of engineers have left. They just left the plant today and they were quoted in the New York Times, I think it was. They were quoted in the New York Times saying, everybody here knows what that means, that the Russians, which I love that quote. I mean, it's terrifying, but it literally said, everybody knows what it means when the Russians say that. And that's all they had to say. Meaning, we all know when the Russians say that, it means the Russians are getting ready to blow up the plant. Russia's foreign ministry on today, rejected a proposal by UN Secretary General Guterres to demilitarize the area around the Russian-occupied plant in Ukraine, saying, okay, so in other words, Russia occupies the plant. They've got military equipment on the plant, vehicles. There's a video out today showing the military vehicles of the Russians on the plant near the reactors. The New York Times looked at the video and seemed to confirm it was real from what the New York Times story was saying, right? And so the UN says, here's an idea. Why don't we just demilitarize the nuclear plant? And mind you, NATO said the same thing, but the UN's weighing in and going, then let's just move everybody away from it, right? Especially, mind you, if you think the NATO and the Ukrainians want to blow it up, then all the more reason just to demilitarize it, put NATO, United Nations troops there, and there's no problem, right? The Russians said no, because it would make the facility more vulnerable. Listen to this. Russia says it keeps some troops at the plant to ensure its smooth running and security. It's a Ukrainian nuclear plant. It's been running for years. Why do you need Russian military at the plant to keep it running smoothly? I mean, they lie. They just lie. And what this is even if Russia doesn't plan on blowing it up, Russia wants us to think they plan on blowing it up. That's what they're hoping, so that they don't want it demilitarized. If it's demilitarized, then it makes people less fearful that they're going to blow it up. So they want to keep it militarized and, maybe not have it blow up. I mean, Russia may not want the nuclear fallout to, come. I don't know how much it could come, but you've got, Russian territory over here, right? And here, that's not that far. Oops, sorry for you guys over there. You've got the plant here and you've got Russian territory over here. It's not that far. Then again, Putin probably doesn't care, because Putin would say, oh, you poor people in, Rostov in Russia, you're all dead from that Ukrainian nuclear plant that the Ukrainian terrorists blew up. Watch my opinion polls go through the roof, right? Putin's done this before. I mean, it's widely thought Putin blew up an apartment complex back in, I always get it wrong, 2003, 2004 or so in Moscow, blamed it, I think, on Chechen rebels. And it was part of how Putin solidified power. Putin has not even no problem with killing civilians and putting them at risk. As we see in Ukraine, not only is it part of Putin's plan to kill civilians in Ukraine, it has been part of Putin's plan to kill civilians in Russia to also consolidate power. So does he care? Was it 1999? I'm sorry. Was it that early? That sounds familiar. 99? Okay. 99. There you go. And was it Chechens? Just to confirm, I haven't Googled this in a very long time, but he blamed it on Chechen rebels, I believe. If somebody wants to just jump in on TikTok and tell me really quick, but I think it was. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ali. That's what I thought it was. So that's what's going on with the nuclear plant. I'm not convinced Russia wants to blow it up. I do think Russia wouldn't mind blowing it up, because also then you've wiped out 20% of Ukraine's energy, and now Ukraine's having a much harder time just supporting everything, right? New York Times. Oh, that was the video, right? The New York Times video inside one of the complexes. Okay. Oh, this was it too. I'm sorry. The New York Times reviewed the video today showing the military vehicles on the plant near the reactors. And listen to this. By using archival photos of the interior of the differing facilities, the Times determined that the videographer walked along a turbine inside the machine room of one of the complex's 6 nuclear reactors. Why Russia would place military vehicles so close to a reactor is unclear. The reactors themselves are heavily fortified. Remember, the reactors are fortified so that, in principle, a jet airliner crashing into them wouldn't be able to take out the reactor, right? The big fear with the reactors all along has been losing power and losing the generators and the electricity, however the electricity is connected, and therefore you then run the risk of a meltdown, because the power goes out and then the what are they called? Not the coils, the tubes, the tubes. I'm losing my nuclear technology as I speak to you. The rods, the radioactive rods wouldn't be cooled by the water, and they would the control rods, they would melt down. So anyway, Russian media. Oh, this is interesting. So the Russians are trying to freak out NATO again. Russian state-controlled news media TASS reported today, citing the country's defense ministry, that 3 Mikoyan MiG-31 interceptor aircraft equipped with Kinzhal missiles have been relocated to the airfield located in the city of Kaliningrad. That's that city of Russia that I've told you guys is actually in Europe, bordered by Poland to the south and Lithuania to the north. So they've moved the MiG fighters into there, which borders Lithuania and Poland. Thank you, Kay, for the super dog. And and they're armed with Kinzhal missiles. The Kinzhal missiles are the newest type of air-to-surface missiles that was used in the attack on Vinnytsia. Remember that horrible attack on the town of Vinnytsia that's way out here in western Ukraine? Nowhere near the front. I mean, nowhere near the front. And the Russians just decided to blow up the center of town. And among other people, they killed that little girl, the little girl with Down syndrome who was going to her class, our speech therapy class. And remember, she had like the little carriage and the little blue socks, and she was crushed and killed. And it was that horrible, iconic photo of this poor little girl, like 8 years old. Anyway, same missile the Russians used for that. What else we got here? Oh, the Russian tanks. So this, I'm putting on my glasses for this one. This is from Ukrainian Defense Intelligence and on the bad situation with Russian tanks. This is good. The heavy attrition of Russian main battle tanks in Ukraine is highly likely partially due to Russia's failure to fit and properly employ adequate explosive reactive armor. In other words, I'll say this in a second. They're saying the reason the Russians have lost so many tanks is because they don't have reactive armor on the tanks. Now, from what I remember from previous wars, reactive armor, you'll see it almost from pictures I've seen, it almost makes me think of those old like Roman centurion outfits or whatever, but it's literally blocks of armor on the outside of the tank in these squares all stitched together in essence. And they're like little bombs or whatever, so that when a missile or something else comes into you, the armor explodes and it actually pushes some of the force out that otherwise would be coming at. In other words, a bomb blows off right there. It pushes the force out rather than all the force of the incoming bomb or missile or whatever hitting the tank, for example. So that's my plain citizen's explanation of reactive armor. Well, here's the deal. Used correctly, reactive armor degrades the effectiveness of incoming projectiles before they hit the tank. This suggests that Russian forces have not rectified a culture of poor reactive armor use, which dates back to the First Chechen War in 1994. 1994. And actually, I mean, okay, it's funny. Wild Hunt Corsetry is saying they don't care enough about their people to buy tank armor. That's exactly it. I mean, it goes back to 1994 that they knew they were just crappy about reactive armor. They don't care. They just don't care about what happens to their troops. Of course, it's kind of stupid because it's not just their troops. They're also losing the tank, right? I mean, it'd be nice if if maybe the reactive armor stops the tank from getting totally destroyed and you can keep using it. What do we got here? It is highly likely that many Russian tank crews lack the training to maintain reactive armor, leading to either poor fitting of the explosive elements or it being left off entirely. Oh my God. So some of these guys are leaving it off the tank because they don't know how to put it on. I mean, how's that for scary? How's that for scary? Bash, I will get to this in a second, just saving it. These deficiencies probably contribute to the widespread incidence of turret ejection, oh God, which are well documented in eyewitness videos from Ukraine. Oh boy, the turret ejection. I've been very careful about even showing it on TikTok because it's kind of scary. The Russian tanks, the way it's horrific the way they're built. The way they're built, they've got like all the munitions like in a circle, I guess, around the guys who are in the tank. The tank gets hit, it explodes, immediately kills everybody in the tank, and then like a like a water gun or something. It shoots the turret. The turret is the spinning thing on the tank that's got the long gun sticking out, shoots it into the air. And I mean, into the air. You see these videos, and it's incredible to watch this thing shoot into the air. I mean, this thing's going up, I don't even know, 50, 100 feet. I mean, it's crazy how high it's going. And they're saying here that part of the reason Russian tanks are known to have this problem of the turrets exploding like a champagne cork, Brian is saying, is because they're not using the reactive armor to help get off some of the blast. The war has seen numerous failures by Russian commanders to enforce low-level battle discipline, such as the use of reactive armor. Oh, that's interesting too. So the commanders aren't enforcing. So not only are the troops not using it, the commanders aren't enforcing the fact that the troops aren't using it. They're not saying, you SOBs, I'm your commander, you better use it. Okay. So, the cumulative effect of these failures is likely a significant factor behind the poor performance of Russian forces. Kind of amazing, though, because it sounds like such simple stuff, as far as that we're able to look at it, and it's stuff that's been going back 30 years to look at it and go, what are you guys doing? Ukraine hitting a Crimean airbase right now? That's probably, my guess is that could be the base that's near Sevastopol that we were talking about earlier. That there was a good fire going on near the base. Let me go. I read somewhere that they suspect they don't have enough reactive armor for all the tanks. Probably. Now, Brash, let me just see here. If there's a leak at the nuclear plant, would it require, just to jump back to this question, would it require international help to contain it? And would that bring NATO into the war? It very well would. It very well may require international help to maintain it. And I don't know that brings NATO into the war. That brings NATO into Ukraine. For example, if NATO really had balls. Oh, hello, Zordan from Serbia. Welcome. If NATO had balls, NATO would say, you blew up the damn nuclear plant. There's now a threat of a meltdown, and there's a threat of radiation spreading across NATO countries. We are flying in a crew or sending them in via train or whatever to fix the plant, to defend the plant, and to keep it demilitarized. And if you want to shoot us and start World War III, that's your choice. But it would have to be presented to the Russians like that and say, you screwed up, and now we're coming to fix it. And if you don't let them in, we are going to shoot our way in. If you do not let everybody come in and now fix the damn plant. That's what I would say. But I think, unfortunately, if it's that dangerous of a situation, you got to stand up to Russia and say, it's your choice if a shooting war breaks out. It's your choice. But we are coming to fix the damn plant. Get out of the way. You've screwed it up. So there you go. Thus is my take. But again, I think our leaders get scared about such things. Actually, this is the last little story I've got. I'll do this and then we'll talk some more. Steven Seagal's an idiot. That's my thoughts on Steven Seagal. Loved his movies 30 years ago. Cuckoo. The guy, unfortunately, some people in their older age go cuckoo. Not a lot, but some. He's one of them. Thank you, Kay, for those. Estonia said on Thursday that it had repelled the biggest wave of cyber attacks in more than a decade, unleashed shortly. This was good. The cyber attacks from Russia came shortly after the removal of a Soviet-era tank from a war memorial celebrating the Red Army on its border with Russia. The Estonian government, one of Europe's most robust supporters of Ukraine in its war with Russia, announced on Tuesday that it would remove all Soviet monuments from public spaces, describing them as symbols of repression and Soviet occupation that had led to increasing social tensions. Oh, Yannick from Estonia is here with us. Congratulations. Your prime minister, my God, that woman. You're the one with it, Kallas. Isn't Kallas the one from, she's the Estonian prime minister, right? Is it Kaja Kallas? I think something, I can't pronounce it correctly, but absolutely amazing. Anyway, yeah, so she's really ticked off because the Russians, we've talked about this before, the way the Russians use history. they like to sort of make themselves the heroes of history when they were very often there you go. Oh, you pronounce it Kaya. Okay. So the J, Kaya Kallas. Yep. They like to pretend like they're the heroes of history when they were very often the villains, right? World War II, they claimed they were the only people who defeated the Nazis. It's like, hello, lots of us, the Americans, the Canadians, the French, not the Germans, but lots of people got together on D-Day and made a big difference. The Belgians, I mean, right? Everybody. The Brits, right? But the Russians say it was just them. The Russians also don't acknowledge that we literally gave them their planes and all the aircraft and the heavy equipment they needed, but whatever. The Russians don't acknowledge that for the first 2 years of World War II, they were actually allies with the Russians, with the Soviet. Excuse me, the Soviets were allies with Putin, with Hitler, more or less. They had a friendship treaty, so they wouldn't attack each other. That was nice. That was sweet. Then the Russians don't tell you that after World War II, they liberated Europe by taking it hostage for 45 years and imposing a horrific communist dictatorship, and I mean horrific dictatorship on half of Europe. These poor people were killed and destroyed for half a century. Exactly. The Molotov-Ribbentrop trap. I'm calling it a trap. The Molotov-Ribbentrop pact. But yeah, so the Russians. So it really ticks them off when people do anything to suggest that, historically, maybe not so big a hero as you think. Justin, hey, my friend Justin's weighing in on Facebook. Hello, Justin. Justin with the hair. You just cracked me up with that hair, Justin. I'm used to thinking you as so not hair. I don't know if you've already reported it yet, but Finland today mentioned that 2 Russian jets today violated their airspace. I did not know that. Actually, I was starting to say I did. What was I putting here? Oh, I think I mentioned it briefly that Russia, where was this? Oh, just that. Yeah, we knew that the Russians they were kind of threatening Lithuania and Poland by putting more fighter jets into Kaliningrad just to threaten them. I did not see violating the airspace. This is, it's what Russia does, and it's really stupid. They do this kind of crap. They love doing this crap. They love violating airspace. They want to, of course, they're testing response. I mean, they do this to see how quickly does Finland respond if they're attacked. In other words, if it takes the Russians a minute and a half, I don't know how long, to intercept the Finnish jet, that's how much time. I mean, Justin knows this because he was former military, but it tells you how much time you've got to bomb or do whatever you're going to do, right? Oh, it took a minute and a half. Now we know it takes a minute and a half for the Finns to respond. So that's one of the reasons they do it. The other reason they're doing it is they're just trying to freak everybody out, as we've talked about. Oh, thank you, Louis, for the graduation hat. They're just trying to freak everybody out. Hang on, I'm going to change my temperature in here. And yeah, so you guys can put more questions in the Q&A feature in my profile if it works. We don't know that it works. The Russians accuse the UK of violating Russian airspace. It's possible. It's unlikely, but it's possible. Let me see here. Let's see if we got questions here. Questions. I know drink because I'm very good, Marcy. Where is this? TikTok, Q&A. Up, here we go. Q&A. Is it true they told the nuclear power plant workers not to go to work tomorrow because of an imminent attack by the Russians? What I do know from one of the articles I read was a number of the plant employees, the engineers is what I read, are not coming in tomorrow because they're afraid the Russians are going to blow the plant up. Because the Russians said, there's going to be a terrorist attack on Friday. All the people working there said, oh, great. That means the Russians are going to blow the place up. If the Russians are warning of a terrorist attack, it means the Russians are preparing to blow it up. And so a lot of them are not showing up for work tomorrow as a result. Yes. I don't know what that means, Mary. Check out Voilame. I don't know what that even means. If Ukraine could retake Crimea, how much would that disrupt Russian logistics? I do not have like the numbers, so to speak, but I do know that in terms of preparing for the counteroffensive that's expected to happen here in the Kherson Oblast and in the Zaporizhia Oblast, that a lot of men and equipment have come from Russia here across the Kerch Bridge, which is a bridge we really want the Ukrainians to blow up if they get the capacity to it, and coming up here through Crimea. So taking back Crimea, actually just blowing up that bridge, blowing up bridges, not easy in general because bridges are very well built nowadays. Also not easy because we refuse to give the Ukrainians the long-range weapons they need in order to hit the bridge. We've given them the long range, we've given them the guns they need, which are the HIMARS, but we refuse to give them the munition for the HIMARS, the ammunition that can go 200 miles. We've only given them the ammunition that can go somewhere between 43 miles and 60 miles, right? So they need that in order to hit the bridge. That's the first thing, and to blow it up. But that would cause a big problem. It would cause a big problem for the Russians because that's a big, you've now cut off one of the major supply lines. Also, just look at it. I mean, currently the Russians are going through here and supplying, it's all their territory to go through here. They take this back and now the supply lines are all coming one way through here in essence, right? It's just easier to have two ways than one. And it arguably might even be a shorter transit to go through Crimea. So yeah, it would be bad. And Crimea Crimea in general is a big deal for Putin. It's just a big deal for Putin. Like psychologically, in terms of, Magna Russia, Greater Russia, and all of this, Crimea is like the jewel in the crown. It's the most credit he got was for taking Crimea from the Ukrainians. So, that Greek is a little over my head. Hold on, I'm gonna get my translate here. I got like half the sentence and not all of it. Hold on. Let me see. Just give me 1 moment. Hold on, guys. What happened to the Adriatic with Russian and American with the Russian and American boats? I'm assuming Plias are boats. No, what did happen? Something happened with the Russian and American boats in the Adriatic. See? I did not see that. Hold on. Yeah, I did not. I didn't even hear anything about that. No. If anybody wants to Google as we're talking, tell me what happened in the Adriatic Sea with Russian and American boats. I'm going to guess the Russians were probably trying to freak us out. What happened to those 10,000 Russians trapped because Ukraine destroyed that water dam? I don't know. Remember, that was in the north. I'm guessing they were allowed to retreat. Because they clearly got out. I mean, they retreated with all the rest of the Russians at the beginning of the war when they pulled back. What else I was looking at other questions and things. What else we got, guys? Oops. Let me look at more questions here. TikTok. Oop, thank you for the origami. If Ukraine could Biden's seemingly lackadaisical approach in Ukraine be meant to slowly drain the Russian military? I don't think so. I don't think that's what's going on. Excuse me. I think that Biden, I think, is a good enough man that he would get pissed at any staff who said, let's drag it out really slow so it kills a lot of Russians and harms them, because Biden would probably immediately respond to the staffer and go, yeah, and that's going to kill a lot of Ukrainians. True. Get out of my, get out of my room. I don't want to see you again. He'd be pissed if somebody suggested that. So I don't think that would be the case. I think that clearly a CIA or military analysis of the war is going to talk about various scenarios and the pluses and benefits. And it's going to say, in the scenario of a long drawn out war that goes for a few years, one of the advantages is that, one of the negatives is it drains Ukraine, it drains America. One of the advantages is it drains Russia, right? Russia will lose more and more equipment. Russia will lose more men. More of their men will no longer be combat ready. The sanctions will kick in more, right? So you're going to get all of that. But no, I don't think that's going on. I think what is going on is Biden's a bit spooked by Putin. Biden thinks that if Putin gets put into a corner, however one defines corner, that he's going to go literally ballistic and use, nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. And my fear is that Biden thinks that there's a low threshold for that. So it's not if Ukrainian troops are descending to take Moscow. It's quite literally, I don't know. I think Biden's worried if Ukraine were to get all their land back, if Ukraine were to take Crimea back. I'd be very interested to, I wish I was a reporter there, to really hit Biden with the question and say, does the president think that it is, because of course we think Crimea is Ukraine, but to somehow say a direct message, okay, thanks, Leon, I appreciate it. But how you'd say this, but basically say, would you support Ukraine, if it has the ability, would you support Ukraine taking Crimea back in this battle right now? Right? And see what Biden says. If Biden says, of course, then we're fine. If Biden obfuscates, then it means he actually thinks that it would freak Putin out. So that's my concern. We're not giving Ukraine the weapons they need. And again, we could have been giving them the longer range weapons for the HIMARS, and that would be enough for them to cause a lot more damage. And they wouldn't have to, again, they could promise that they aren't going to use them to hit Russia, and that's fine. Now, I don't even know why we should have told them you can use it to hit Russia. What's he going to do? The man's committing genocide, which is also kind of what annoys me, You can Google obfuscate. But you know what I mean? Anyway. I just feel like if he's committing genocide, I'm not going to say, you can only hit him. I don't want you to hit him too hard. And I don't want you to hit him back in his own cities. Even though missiles are coming from Belgorod, I don't want you to send missiles back to Belgorod. That would be bad. Kalisperas savas. Anyway, you get it. No, I don't know that we look weak because we've obviously been very strong in helping Ukraine, but we are still trying to get a tie and not get a win for Ukraine. Okay? So that's fine, Leon. I'll check my messages afterwards. Denmark is calling its big warships back to Denmark from around the world. Also wants to get more smaller and faster ships for the Baltic Sea. Crew apparently captured a video of what appeared to be a Russian missile launch from where? The purported missile moved towards Anchorage, Alaska at a speed of 2,000 miles an hour. That's weird. What was that from? Yeah, I don't know. Deadliest Catch. What is Deadliest Catch? It's on Deadliest Catch tonight. What is that? So I'm just looking at the comments on YouTube. Yeah, someone fill me in on that. I don't know what that is. Oh, sorry guys, I'm going to yawn today. It's a fishing show. Is it really? It's not. Is it really? Discovery Channel show? So it is a fishing show. I don't know what volume is or whatever. So I don't know what you're trying to suggest to me. I don't know who the person is or whatever. So fishing show. That's funny. A fishing show that's now about Russian missiles. See what else you got here. If the war goes on for years, how will support change if Trump or someone similar wins the presidency? Well, I mean, Trump is not a great fan of Ukraine. Excuse me. Trump is, I took like a allergy thing before we started the show. Sorry about that. Trump is not a great fan of Ukraine. The Trumpist wing of the GOP is very not supportive of Ukraine. They don't like Ukraine. They think, Putin's fine. The Ukrainians are evil. I mean, quite literally. It was great when we had relations with Putin, but these corrupt Ukrainians, blah, 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 blah. The question is, would Trump be as bad as his followers? Trump doesn't like Ukraine. Zelensky wouldn't help Trump. Trump tried to force Zelensky. He withheld weapons to force Zelensky to give him dirt on Biden so that the Ukrainians literally would get involved in our 2020 election. Zelensky refused. Trump believes this crazy conspiracy theory that somehow Hillary Clinton conspired with the Ukrainians to somehow cheat Trump in 2016. This one I've never understood. So he doesn't, and Trump being Trump. Trump holds grudges. So, and Trump believes conspiracies and he holds grudges. So he thinks, when I asked Zelensky for a favor, he didn't do it. So screw him. I guarantee you. So it's a big problem. It's a big problem. Biden-Ukraine corruption is true. Biden-Ukraine corruption is true if the entire world corruption is true. Let's talk about it. President Biden, because that's a nice little convenient lie that the Republicans keep pushing. But again, it's part of the larger conspiracy theories that the Republicans push because their base kind of likes them. It's too bad. But the Republican base, sadly, is far too willing to accept sort of stupid lies. And I don't know that they're not educated enough or what it is, but they just are willing to accept lies. Joe Biden was assigned to take the task of going after Ukraine to go after their corruption because the guy that was their anti-corruption guy was actually corrupt. The entire world demanded this guy step down. The World Bank and the international, development organizations all came out for this guy to step down. Our European allies all came out demanding this guy step down. President Obama of the United States came out and demanded this guy step down. Biden was appointed to help make the guy step down. And the Republicans turned around and said, well, this guy had earlier investigated the company that Hunter Biden was on the board of. And even though this guy concluded his investigation something like 6 months or a year before Biden even said anything, they're trying to claim that the reason Biden said it was because he wanted to get rid of this guy who was investigating his son. Or Biden said it because literally the entire world was saying it and President Obama ordered him to. But again, it's all about lies and conspiracy theories, and it drives me crazy because it is part of the threat we are facing as a country right now, is that the Republican Party, unfortunately, has bought into Donald Trump's lies and a culture of lies and conspiracy, right? It's what brought on the attack on the Capitol on January 6th was the lies and the conspiracies. It's what's bringing Republicans now to put people in place to not certify the next U.S. presidential election because of the lies and the conspiracies. So, I mean, it's really bad. It's really bad. So that's the answer on Joe Biden and corruption in Ukraine. Yeah. So more lies, more conspiracy theories from the Republicans. And I'll make one final point because, and I hate to get political, it's not even political. They can't win when they tell the truth. And that's what's so scary. And it scares me how gullible and stupid Republican voters are. And frankly, that people like Trump and the Republican leaders, the Republican establishment, they know Republican voters tend to be compliant and stupid. They know that they are going to believe a lie, so the Republican establishment feeds them lies. And it should make every Republican voter out there furious that the Republican establishment lies and lies and lies to them. And that's not even English. The Russian trolls, your face is a lie. I'm glad you banned him, but that was hilarious. Scott, who's an American, responds, your face is a lie. Again, Democrats, some Democrats lie. Some Democrats lie. Yeah, it's not happening. I haven't seen any Democrats lying their way into a violent attempt to overthrow the country. That's only been on the Republican side. I haven't seen any Democrats lie in a concerted effort to quite literally steal the presidential election next time by not certifying the actual winner. So that Scott was clearly a Russian. Yeah. That's the problem we're talking about here. When we are comparing Democrats and Republicans, both parties have their problem. The problem is the Democratic problem is on the crazy fringe, is where the Democratic problem is, right? Black Lives Matter, not a big thrill of the violence at the protest. It wasn't most of the protests. They had violence at the protests, and the crazy Antifa crap in the Northwest, in Seattle, and in Portland, Oregon was insane. Okay. But I got news for you. The president of the United States was not supporting the crazy Antifa crap going on in Seattle and Portland. Guess who supports that crap on the right? Donald Trump. When Nazis, literal Nazis, were marching in Charlottesville, Virginia, and then subsequently went on and killed a woman, Donald Trump defended them and said, well, there's bad people on both sides. Not when you're talking about Nazis, first of all, and not when you're talking about them killing a woman. You do not see Democratic presidents defending the people that the Republican presidents, and that is the problem, is you can say that there are these problems among Democrats, and you would be correct, okay? You would be correct. But you do not see the highest levels of the Democratic Party embracing the violence. You can find Maxine Waters making a stupid comment, and I watched it. It was a stupid comment. I agree. It was a bad comment from one lady out of 435 members of Congress, and nobody backs her up on her stupid comment. She's not the president of the United States. She's not the Speaker of the House. Seriously, it is. But the problem is they all don't lie about violence in an effort to violently tear our country apart. That is only happening with one political party. And that's what pisses me off. That's what pisses me off. Oh, Biden attacking the kid in Kenosha. How does that even compare? This guy is talking about the fact that Biden criticized, you're all going to love this. I criticized the kid in Kenosha. He picked up a gun and killed somebody. Some 17-year-old kid thought he was going to be Rambo and went over to the next state to patrol with his assault rifle, like Rambo at midnight. He's insane. That's stupid. Absolutely stupid. And you're going to compare criticizing that kid for playing Rambo and murdering someone? You're going to compare that to trying to violently overthrow the government and say, well, we tried to violently overthrow the government, but you criticized a kid who picked up his assault rifle and shot somebody in cold blood. I mean, how are you even comparing the two, Andrew? But that's what bothers me is Andrew's a good example. That's what bothers me. There is no more rationality on the right. It is a cult. You've got to defend it no matter what. I just criticize Maxine Waters. You can't do it on your side. AOC, I don't like AOC, but she's the fringe. And mind you, AOC's fringe is trying to give everybody health care and try to save the planet with the environment, right? I mean, I think she's way too out there because she's a socialist for my taste, but it's not like she wants to violently overthrow the government. She just wants to give everybody health care, right? Whereas your fringe wants to literally kill FBI agents, right? Kill judges. This judge was Jewish. The judge that approved the search warrant for Trump is Jewish. So your friends, your voters went and threatened his synagogue. They had to shut down the synagogue and shut down the services for the first time, I think, ever, because Trump supporters went and threatened the synagogue of the judge. I mean, like, that shit is crazy. And I guarantee you, if you asked Donald Trump about shutting down that synagogue, Trump would have said, right? He would have said, hats off, good for you. You wouldn't see Joe Biden. Joe Biden would have criticized it in a moment. That's the difference between Republicans and Democrats. It is a literal cult, as Dave is saying. It is horrific. I am going to lose my voice again, thanks to that asshole. Oh, God. All right, no more of this. We're already at 6 o'clock anyway. Yeah, unfortunately, I got the voice again. Son of a bitch. God, it drives me crazy. No, but it pisses me off because we are going to have a civil war. We're going to have violence in this country because of these people. And it's because they're lied to and they want to be lied to. They are lemmings who want to be lied to, and they don't care about the truth. All right, recap, and then we're going, guys. I think I'm going to skip the after hour thing because it is true. The voice, I don't know what to do about my voice. Man, it's really bad. All right. All right, recap. Reported events tonight: explosions at a munitions depot in Belgorod, Russia. Fire and explosions at an airfield in Belgorod. Explosions in Novakhovka, Kherson, occupied by the Russians. Explosions near the Belbek airport in Crimea. Air defense activity near the Kerch Strait in Crimea. Ukraine's military says that Ukrainian forces destroyed Russia's ammunition depot in southern Ukraine. Additionally, Russia is strengthening its forces in southern Ukraine, preparing for the offensive. Zelensky says negotiations with the Kremlin are possible only if Russian troops leave Ukraine. Ukrainian charity has taken the money it raised for a Bayraktar and instead purchased a spy satellite for Ukraine to use. They purchased it from the Finns. Russia is causing all sorts of trouble over the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant, predicting a terrorist attack tomorrow, which means Russia is considering a terrorist attack tomorrow on the plant. The Russian media says that Russia is transferring MiG-31 aircraft to Kaliningrad, in essence, to threaten Lithuania and Poland. Russia's having a lot of problems with their tanks, according to the British intelligence. That basically the biggest problem is the Russians have refused to put reactive armor on their tanks. They keep blowing up, they keep killing their troops, and the Russians don't care. They don't care. And finally, Estonia said on Thursday that it had repelled the biggest wave of cyber attacks in more than a decade, unleashed, thank you for that, Kay, unleashed shortly after the removal of a Soviet-era tank from a war memorial celebrating the Red Army on its border with Russia. All right. Ugh. All right, guys. Yeah. Advil, really? Well, I'll write it down. I'll give it a try. No, I know I may need the problem is, like I said, they didn't think my voice was because of, they think my voice is because of reflex. They didn't think it was from a voice strain. So like, it's really pissing me off though. I'll try the Advil. Well, I'm going to have the weekend off anyway. I'm not doing the shows on the weekend anymore, just for my voice for now anyway. So, but yeah, let's do that. I'm going to take a break tonight. Let's not go over. I'll say this. If you guys want to go over to the Discord yourselves. You can go to John's After Hours and hang out yourselves there. It's open. I assume it's open, Syndicate, right? People can go over there and chat if you want sort of a group. Because like on TikTok, for example, it closes down when I close it up. Tomorrow, I'll be back at 6 p.m. Eastern is my normal start time. Yeah, I'll gargle with warm salt water and see if that helps too. A lot of times what I find is when my throat's doing this, it's not sore, which is the weird part. It's as if there's too much, there's too much stuff in here, not to get gross, is what it feels like. It's funny you say that, Kay, because my voice certainly is like this during the day. It gets worse during the lives. And I've been thinking if it's stress from doing the lives, that then I was thinking about that in the last day as to whether the stress, because initially I was getting like tension here, that got better. But now when I do the lives, it gets more. And you know what? It got worse when I got pissed off at that guy. So that's got to be part of it too. Yeah. Have I had a loss? I don't know what that means. Nobody's died, if that's what you mean. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to whiskey and honey. I know you guys say that. Well, I'm going to get more hot water with honey and lemon for starters. And I've got actually tea as well. I'll do the hot water, lemon and honey. Yeah. No, it is. All right, guys, let me go. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. All right. Thank you all. Yep. I've got the Manuka honey too. I'll maybe just even take some of that, Yeah, definitely. There's no grief going on. It's not that. Yep. So, all right, guys, could be stressed. It's phlegmy. It is. All right. Goodbye. All of you. Goodbye.